I'm Valentina Aragon, and today I'd like to share with you my first spiritual awakening experience. I had my first spiritual awakening in January 2002 in Beverly Hills while I was in labor with my first child. At that time, I definitely was very left brain, mainstream American, had no idea about spirit or soul. I was a student at UCLA, honor student in the honors program. My goals were to take the LSATs and go to hopefully UCLA Law School. Well, my first signs of awakening was telepathic communication with my unborn child. The communication wasn't from my head to my belly. Um, she actually floated outside of me. And I knew she was a girl, and I knew her name was Paloma. That's what she told me her name was. So that was the first signs. And during that time, I also just started naturally changing the way I eat. I just ate a typical mainstream diet. I shopped at mainstream grocery stores, but I just was aware just to start eating cleaner and healthier. And I started eating organics back in 2002 while I was pregnant and started drinking clean water or water without any chemicals. And so I was just starting to be more aware of what I put in my body. And so, but the spiritual awakening came when I was actually in labor with my child. I was at home and I was trying to do as much of the labor as possible at home. I had my mother and my husband at the time assisting me, and the contractions were coming closer and they were lasting longer. And at one point, I just needed to be alone. And I just remember telling my mother and my husband at the time, please go, go, leave me. I need to be alone. And so they left, and I really, really went into a deep internal space to try to just flow and roll with these waves. And so I just went deep, deep within. Well, while I was going deep within, the townhome we were living in started shaking and shaking. And my thoughts were, oh my goodness, we're having an earthquake while I'm in labor. What are the chances of that? And then above my head, the ceiling, the roof started opening and started opening. And I looked up and I could see thousands and thousands of stars. And all those who live in big cities, you know it's hard to see lots of stars. And I could see thousands of stars in Los Angeles. And all of a sudden, the stars began to start moving. And it looked like two arms of stars moving slowly. And these arms of stars reach in and pick me up. Reach in and pick me up. And I am the size of a speck of dust compared to these arms of stars, or these two arms of stars. And I was a speck of dust, and these arms pick me up and take me straight up into the cosmos. And I felt a very feminine presence, and she just started holding me and rocking me. And I thought that this experience was about 10 minutes, but I later learned I was in that trance experience for 6 hours. And how I came out was my moaning, and I was screaming. The labor was getting really intense. And my mother and my husband at the time came into the room, and I came out of my trance. I'm happy to say that I birthed a beautiful 9-pound, 2-ounce baby girl named Paloma. So that was my very first spiritual experience. And after that, I no longer had ambitions to go to law school. I didn't pursue that. I started dancing within 6 weeks of giving birth. And I was a closet dancer, and I started ecstatic dance. And that really helped accelerate my awakening process. It allowed me to quiet my mind and embody more of my higher self, my spirit. And I mean more creative and more artistic, and no longer so much left brain logical linear thinking. I have a couple more spiritual experiences to share with you, but this was the first. This is the first that got me thinking that there is a creator being, that there is something outside of self that, yeah, I'm a part of. And from that time, I would call her Cosmic Mother. I was in the embrace of the Cosmic Mother, and I definitely still feel her presence with me to this day. And I feel her presence with my daughter, my baby girl with the golden glow. Well, thank you so much for hearing my story. I hope you have a good day.